You do not need to be perfect in order to be used by God. This is a thought that I've been thinking about. So often as Christians, we think that we need to have it all together in order to be used by Jesus. We think that we somehow have got to get every single part of our lives in order for Jesus to say, hey, listen, I'm going to use you to talk to somebody. But no, I don't know where that lie started. I do not know who started that trend of like, hey, Christians need to be perfect. You do not need to be perfect. If you were perfect, then Jesus wouldn't be using you. He wouldn't need to use you because you're perfect, right? But see, I think there's something beautiful about being imperfect to be able to reach other imperfect people. You can't be perfect. There's nothing that you can do that can allow for you to be perfect because you were born imperfect. Therefore, there's not a moment where you become perfect on this side of eternity. In eternity, in heaven, your body will be fully glorified and you will be perfect. But that doesn't mean that right now you are perfect. Any Christian that says, hey, I'm perfect, I've got this walk perfectly nailed down, you should totally listen to me because everybody else is imperfect and they don't know what they're talking about. Now, obviously, there are people that we can listen to, but we always need to go back to Scripture and understand what Scripture is saying. And if this person is saying something, does it match with Scripture? Now, I think there's something beautiful in Jesus using imperfect people. If we look at the 12 men that he chose to hang around him, right, the men that he chose to have as his disciples, we see that they had problems. We see that they were not perfect, right? They doubted him. They struggled. They asked questions. They were angry. They struggled through life, yet Jesus still chose to have a relationship with them. And then we see all of the Bible characters that God chooses to use. Gideon was afraid. Gideon was so scared. Samson had a problem with women. We see David had an affair. We see Samuel couldn't hear the Lord's voice when he was little. We see Job going through some awful things and, questioning if he should be alive, right? We see Adam and Eve who screwed up, they messed up, they brought sin into the world, but anybody in their position would have done the same thing, right? We can't blame them. If you and I were there, right, we'd do the exact same thing. Sin would have entered into the world through humanity anyway, anytime, right? And even thinking about, the New Testament, after Jesus turned Saul's life around, he used Saul in some mighty ways. But see, never think that you need to be perfect in order for Jesus to use you. I think there's a beauty in the imperfection, right? There's a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful part of being imperfect and Jesus still choosing to use you. He doesn't need you. He doesn't need you. Jesus does not need you to go share the gospel. He doesn't need you to go be able to be obedient, right? Jesus can fulfill the Great Commission by himself, yet he chooses to allow us to take part in this beautiful adventure we get to call the Christian life. And so just think about that. If anybody says, hey, you're imperfect, you can't follow Jesus because you don't have your life together, don't listen to them. The journey of being a Christian is trying to be able to search, hey, how can I grow? Where can I get better? See, if you think you're fully good, if you think you're fully perfect, that is a dangerous place to be. If you think you know the fullness of God, you know exactly how Jesus moves, that is a dangerous spot to be. You are dangling over some rocky waters if you think you are perfect. Because if your brain is tricked into thinking that you're perfect, you are going to be less likely to choose Jesus every single day. You're going to be less likely to want to plug into him because you already think you know everything. So beware of Christians who say that they're perfect. Beware of people who say, you know what? You need to be perfect in order to follow Jesus, because you don't, and there's a beauty in that. Thank God you're not good enough. Thank God you are not good enough to be able to save yourself, because if you were good enough, then Jesus would not need to be dying on that cross. He wouldn't need to die and go through an excruciating death for you to be saved if you were perfect. So thank God you're not perfect. And choose to live a life that says, hey, listen, I am imperfect. I come with my imperfections. And Jesus, I want you to work through my imperfections. I want my life to change to model after you. Now, that doesn't give you an excuse to stay and live the same lifestyle that you were living before Jesus. Your life has to change once you've encountered Jesus. Just remember that. So that's just a thought that I've been thinking about this week. Maybe it can be a reassuring thought for you as well, that you don't need to be perfect, but your life does need to change after you've accepted Jesus.